we will get started. 12-day clean eating challenge. Like I said, we've kind of changed the name. We're going to call it more of an accountability group because that's what it is. Yes, it's a challenge for yourself, but we want to provide you with the accountability and the resources for you to learn how to practice clean eating. So what is clean eating? It is finding or choosing minimally processed real foods. These foods will give you the maximal benefits that you want for your body, for overall health benefits, to receive the nutrients and that you need, your macros, your proteins, your fats, your carbs, and also your micronutrients like your vitamins and minerals. The idea is to consume foods that are closest to their natural state. So if you are going to think about what foods are closest to their natural state, for me, it's easiest to think about foods that are grown in the earth. You have your fruits, your vegetables. We're also including things like high quality proteins. So your animal meats, if you're vegetarian, you can definitely find some plant sources of protein. We're including those things, and all of these things, they have lots of benefits. They're to improve your heart and your brain health, assist with weight management, build a stronger immune system, increase your energy levels, among other benefits like balancing your hormones, keeping balanced blood sugar. They just have so many benefits to eating. You could call it plant-based, but we also are including animal proteins. So it's really just eating foods as close to their natural state as possible. We want this to be simple for you guys, so it doesn't have to be complex. I'm not going to sit here and tell you you need to eat a certain amount of calories or you need to eat a certain amount of protein. That is not what this 12-day challenge and accountability group is about. If you want to do that, that's fine, but I would honestly encourage you to keep it simple. Don't track your calories, don't track your macros, try to stick with the program that we're presenting to you for these 12 days. So how do you do that? What is this program? It is really eating foods that are grown naturally. So without processing, without preservatives, without additives. I know most of us, we go to the grocery store and we pile up our cart with boxes and cans and all of these things that are quick and easy, and that's great. And I love the ease of that as well. But for the clean eating challenge, if you look at number 2, it's stick to the outer edge of the store, the produce section. So go through your fruit and vegetables, pick out a bunch of fruit and vegetables and keep them in your fridge. Your fridge should be stocked through this whole 12-day clean eating challenge. If we'll give you some options for some packaged food that has clean ingredients if you want to grab some of those things, but for the most part, sticking to the outer edge of the store will help you eat clean. And then the last thing, I like this tip, it's something that I always think about, is eat the way your great-great-great-grandparents would have eaten. So you think back 100 plus years ago, grandma and grandpa did not have a box of mini wheats. They didn't have your goldfish. And although those things are great, that's not what this challenge is about. We're trying to really just eat foods that are grown naturally, grown in the earth, something that you would find at your farmer's market, something that you would find at your local farm down the street. So we're keeping it simple, kind of cutting back on all the bulk, the packaged items. Guidelines for clean eating. Simple is best, just like we talked about. Try to buy foods with minimal ingredients. Read the label. So when I say this, I'm not telling you to turn around and look at the sugar content or look at the protein or carbs content. That's not what we're doing. Really, if you turn around and read the label, I want you to only look at the ingredients. And if you can't recognize the ingredient, if you can't pronounce it, then it probably isn't included in clean eating. Eat whole foods. So just like we talked about, sticking to the parameter of the grocery store will help you with this, but skip the processed and packaged foods, skip the refined foods. When I say no added sugars, that doesn't mean you can't eat sugar. A strawberry has sugar, it has those natural sugars. Things like honey have natural sugars in them, but they also are, and I have a hard time with the word natural because it can be thrown around in a lot of different diet labels, but really just eat foods that are more natural. Things that are grown on the earth are made naturally. Honey is made naturally. So we are including that. We're including the natural sugars of fruits. Skipping the preservatives, the food colorings, the hydrogenated oils and fats, and excess sodium. So this will all start to make a little more sense as we finish through the slides. And then last thing is to eat balanced. So try to include a good source of protein, carbs, and fats each time you eat. Like I said, I'm not having you turn around and read the label. And if you're not familiar with what proteins are and what carbs are and what fats are, join the Facebook group. I'm going to provide information, and I will include this. I will give you kind of a guideline of what different proteins are, like your animal proteins, your meats, or even some vegetarian proteins that you can include. I'll explain what carbs are and what carbs you can include. So maybe like whole grains, your vegetables are sources of carbs, and then fats. So fats are so beneficial for your brain to function properly, for your organs to function properly. Fats like a cold pressed olive oil, coconut oil, your avocado. So there's so many benefits to including protein, carbs, and fats, and we want to try to include each of those macros every single time you eat. Like I said, the Facebook group will really help you start to understand this. Guidelines for clean eating, we just went over that. Proteins, so we'll run through these real quick. We'll explain. You'll have a resource guide if you do join our challenge that can help you with this, but just a quick overview of proteins. Lean meat, fish. I highly encourage people to eat fish. If you like fish, go for it. Fish have so many benefits. Grass-fed proteins. So this can be kind of complex, but a lot of times you go to the grocery store and you could buy a package of beef or a package of chicken, whatever it is. A lot of times our animal produce has added hormones, has been pumped with antibiotics. So we really are trying to get protein in their most simple form. Oftentimes, if you can buy grass-fed, pasture-raised, or organic proteins, it's going to be a little bit pricier. But for these 12 days, I would encourage you to really try to go for those cleaner proteins if it's in your budget. If not, don't stress about it. It is okay either way. These are just kind of goals for you. Pasture-raised eggs, nuts, beans, legumes, dairy. So depending on what clean eating program you go with, sometimes people will include dairy, sometimes they won't. For us, we are going to include some dairy. We're going to include dairy that does not have a lot of lactose in it, so it shouldn't cause inflammation in your body. If you tuned into our inflammation webinar, you maybe will know a little bit more about that. But all of the dairy that I have listed right here, I would say is good. I would still encourage you to try to buy organic, try to turn it around and read the ingredients. If there's added ingredients in your dairy products that you don't recognize or you can't read or pronounce the name of the ingredient, then it's probably not included in clean eating. So things like kefir, full-fat cottage cheese, cheddar cheese, lactose-free milk, Greek or regular yogurt with no additives, no added sugars, artificial flavors, or colors. And then if you come back to this, I have added links for you to see some of the products that I use or also Kylie uses, so that you can maybe go buy a brand of something that we recommend. Something to note is that I would recommend for this challenge opting for full fat or the full fat for any of the dairy products that you buy, because if you are going for low fat, oftentimes they have added in different fillers or food additives, those other ingredients that we're trying to exclude during this challenge. Your carbohydrates, most people don't think of fruits and vegetables as carbs, but they are, and they're a great source of quick energy, great source of nutrients for your body. So for your carbohydrates, think vegetables, fruits, whole grains, we'll get into those a little more, and then ancient grains. Ditch the refined carbohydrates like your white breads, rice, pastas. Yes, there are different types of pastas that are whole grain, and those are awesome. These foods lack the vitamins, minerals, fat, protein, and fiber that your body needs to function. They've oftentimes been so processed that they have reduced the nutrients that were first naturally in them. These foods are linked to different health issues like obesity and diabetes, and they're an easy swap. Those white breads, rice, different pastas, they're an easy swap for whole grains during this challenge. And if you do opt for the whole grains, you're getting more fiber. That fiber is your gut's main source of fuel. Your gut likes to use fiber to help digest and process other foods. So fiber found in whole grains is really a great thing to include for this challenge. So here's an example of tortillas. Oftentimes we think of corn tortillas as healthier, not saying that they aren't. This is just not our goal for clean eating. So if you can see right here on the Mission tortillas, it's a pretty common brand, but if you look on the ingredients, there is things like cellulose gum, guar gum, amylase, propionic acid. That right there is my example. I can't even pronounce that word, so that is what we're trying to steer away from. And then I also provided a example of siete tortillas. So if you look up at the top, you can see the ingredients for siete tortillas. It's cassava flour. Cassava is a type of root. It's kind of similar to a potato of sorts, but cassava is a vegetable flour. Water, coconut flour, coconut oil, apple cider vinegar, sea salt, and xanthium gum. These are an example of a cleaner tortilla. So you can pronounce all of these ingredients, and most of them are pretty similar, or familiar. You're familiar with these ingredients, so I would say opt for the siete tortilla over the tortillas that you can't pronounce most of their ingredients. This list, I'll let you guys go back and read through it, but I've just provided you some fiber-rich and nutrient-dense grains. You can click on these links and they will take you probably to Amazon or Whole Foods so that you could see a picture of the brands that I've suggested for you. So it's a great resource. Come back and look through this when we send out the slides. Something to become familiar with is your Dirty Dozen and Clean 15. So like I said, you don't always have to buy organic. Stick to your budget. Don't stress about it. It is okay either way. But if you are wanting to start switching things to organic, I would say look at this list first. So when you go to the produce section, a lot of your produce, your fruits and vegetables has been sprayed with pesticides and herbicides, things that we really don't want our body to intake, and things that our body really just isn't made to process. Our body's not made to break those pesticides and herbicides down. So look at the Clean 15 list and try to opt for these Clean 15. Maybe you don't have to buy organic, but the Dirty Dozen, these I would recommend you memorizing this list or just taking it with you, thinking about it, and buying these things organic. Your healthy fats. So these oils, grass-fed butter, I would say these are great to include, and I would encourage you to include them. Cook with these ingredients. Add them to your salad dressing if you like salad dressing. Put them on top of your proteins, cook with your chicken and your fish, and use these healthy fats because they do have a lot of benefits for your body, your brain health, your organs, just like I was talking about earlier. And they help your body run properly. Your sweeteners, like we talked about earlier, we're trying to get rid of all the added sugars. So, maybe not going and getting that cookie, maybe not going and buying your candy, but trying to make some homemade recipes using things like honey or pure maple syrup, coconut sugar, raw agave nectar. And these are just suggestions. You may speak with a dietitian or a nutritionist who tells you not to eat these things, but these are kind of the guidelines that we're going for this program. So it's not a perfect program, may be different for some people, but this is what we're encouraging. For your dessert ideas, if you know me well, I keep a dark chocolate bar in my bedside table. I keep one in my desk pretty much at all times. I can grab a square of dark chocolate, and it is my favorite. If you joined in our inflammation webinar, then I kind of talked about the benefits of raw cacao or dark chocolate. So I'm a big fan of that. Simple Mills cookies or baking mixes, you can buy these at HEB, you can buy them at Whole Foods, most grocery stores you can find these at, but they do have clean ingredients. So try out some of their This is a box. So like I said, we're kind of pushing away those box or packaged things, but there are some brands that I would encourage you to try out. Homemade clean desserts, sweet Lauren cookies, those are Kylie's favorite. Smoothies or an ice cream, yogurt and fruit bowl. So all those things you can include, and I would just encourage you to include them. Don't try to push out all of these natural sugars, but keep them in so that you can curb those cravings. Condiments and spices. I really like condiments. If I'm going to eat chicken or something, I'm going to put ketchup with it. I love to put pesto on top of everything. And if I'm going to eat pasta, I'm going to have pasta sauce on it. But a lot of those pre-packaged condiments and spices do have added ingredients. So I would encourage you to turn them around, look at the ingredients. I have listed a bunch that you can pick up on Amazon, buy at Whole Foods. Some of these you can buy at HEB. But adding things like condiments into your meals can make it a little more enjoyable. And they can also teach you that it doesn't have to be bland food. Clean eating, eating healthy, it can taste good too. If you've never tried coconut aminos, this is one thing I will point out because I cook with coconut aminos for everything. It's kind of like a soy sauce substitute. I love the flavor of it. I cook so much with coconut aminos, but I would encourage you to buy those. I think you can get it next to soy sauce at most stores. This is an example of just a ketchup. So Heinz, we all know Heinz tomato ketchup. If you look at the ingredients, there is some added things in here like high fructose corn syrup, natural flavoring. Although that sounds natural, I would steer away from natural flavoring. That is fine if you want to use it, but here on the left side is an example of something that could be swapped out during these 12 days. If you look at the Primal Kitchen ingredients, it's organic tomato concentrate, balsamic vinegar, organic onion powder, organic spices. There's one more thing that I can't read in there, but very clean ingredients. Primal Kitchen you can get at Whole Foods. I think you can get it at HEB. You can definitely order on Amazon. So opt for the more simple ingredients on your condiments. Drinks, water, and more water. Try out some herbal teas, simple ingredient fruit juice. So I have an example of this on the right side, but you can see Sunny D, which we probably all drank as kids. There's probably a list of 12 ingredients on there. A lot of it is ingredients that you probably couldn't pronounce easily. But if you look at the one on the image on the left side, this is Whole Foods fresh squeezed orange juice. They have one ingredient and it is oranges. So simple ingredient fruit juice, keep it simple, look for those minimal ingredients, still drink your coffee, be careful of what you add into it, be aware of the milk or whatever you're putting into your coffee. And then lastly, kombucha. If you've never tried kombucha, I put a picture of my favorite brand, the Buddhist Brew Kombucha. They do oftentimes have organic cane sugar in them in small amounts. So we would consider that a added sugar. But like I said, we're not looking for you to be perfect in this. It's just swapping out and trying to make simple changes over time. But what about snacks? Here's just some suggestions. I would love if you guys join the Facebook group and give each other suggestions. If you have a clean eating snack or a clean eating recipe, share that in our Facebook group so that other people can try it out. I put some of my favorites on here. Granola, Purely Elizabeth is my favorite brand. You can get it at most stores. Different types of chips, crackers, protein bars, homemade energy balls. If you like to cook and want to keep energy balls in your fridge, you could make some fresh fruit popsicles or smoothies. So these are all just suggestions. You can come back to this list. For example, when we're looking at crackers, you can see the Ritz crackers on the left side. We wouldn't really consider that simple ingredients. As you can see, there is a ton of ingredients in that, which is fine. But for this challenge, I would encourage you to look over to the right side. Simple Mills crackers, you can get those in any grocery store. And if you look down the ingredients, super easy. You can pronounce all of these ingredients. They're pretty common to you. And what is that? About 8 ingredients, very simple ingredients. Tips for clean eating: focus on the ingredients, not calories. So no calorie counting, maybe just look at the back of the box, look at the ingredients. Skip the diet foods. We're not looking for low sodium. We're not looking for no artificial sweeteners. We're not looking for low fat products. We are really sticking to the parameter of the store, looking at your fruits, vegetables, your animal meats or vegetarian proteins, those oils, all of those things. It's not considered a diet food. They're just simple, real, natural foods. Fill up on protein and fiber. So this is important. Protein helps you stay full for longer. Keep the protein, even if you're a vegetarian, try to get more protein in, as well as fiber. Like I said, your gut, your stomach that breaks down your food feeds off of fiber. Fiber is its main source that it likes to use to break down other foods. You can get fiber in your vegetables and whole grains. Eat the rainbow. Experiment with new foods. So try to branch out from what you normally eat and try new things. And then lastly, meal prep. Keep your pantry and fridge stocked with options. So we will send out, if you've joined the accountability group, we will immediately send out a prep and purge sheet so that you can kind of go through it and make sure that your fridge and your pantry are set up for success for this clean eating challenge. Ingredients to avoid. I'm not really going to go over this because we have kind of talked through what clean eating is, but I want you guys to look through this on your own. These are all just suggestions. If some of these ingredients are in the food you eat, that's fine. We're not striving for perfection, but try to limit these ingredients. Try to cut them out as much as possible. I added some resources, just a few websites that you maybe could look at and get some recipe ideas. If you have any other resources that you want to share with us, please post it on the Facebook page. It'll just encourage and help keep each other accountable. And then lastly, this is what the Facebook accountability group will look like. So on the right side, I just screenshotted what it should look like so far. But this group is really to provide you educational content. It's to provide recipes and resources while you are attempting and trying to eat clean. This is really just supposed to be a resource to help you and help each other. The more you can engage on this online platform by asking questions and sharing your recipes, maybe taking a picture and sharing it, or linking a website that you got your recipe from, I can comment back to you or answer your questions. So you really do have you have free access to a health coach for 12 days. The more you can be engaged, more questions, more posts that you can put on there, the more we'll help each other and I can help you. And then lastly, if you are doing the challenge, you have the option, if you want to be submitted in our grand prize, to submit a food diary. Each food diary will count as one raffle ticket towards the grand prize. But if you are wanting to purchase any add-ons like health coaching or the 3-day diet diary review, here's how you should record your food diary. So if you've ever used the app MyFitnessPal, or you just want to use your notes page on your phone or a Word document, there's also just printable resources on the web. However you choose to do it is fine. There's not a right, there's not a wrong. Try to be as exact as possible, putting the brands you use, saying how much you used, and saying exactly every ingredient that you used while cooking or what you ate that day. And if you want to be entered in that grand prize, you can send me over your food diary for 1 day and I will give you a raffle ticket or put you in our raffle. And if you want me to give you feedback, if you want to know maybe what nutrients you're lacking, what vitamins and minerals you need, what macros, your proteins, your fats, and carbs that you need to include more of, you can purchase that 3-day diet diary review or health coaching session, and I will be able to sit down with you or give you some feedback and really help you find a more holistic, more balanced way of eating. And that is it for this presentation. I am going to also, we put up a YouTube video, just a couple minutes of how you can do your food diary. So if you need more help using MyFitnessPal or you want to know more, you can watch that video. If you want to, join the Facebook group, we'll put the link to that on the chat box, and I would really encourage you all to do that. Make a Facebook profile, whatever it is. I think it's going to be so beneficial, and I'm excited for it. We'll send out the recording of this if you want to watch it back or share it with someone. And if you guys have any questions, please stay on and ask.